Good morning, Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for Monday, the 5th of November, 2012. I want to take a look at the upper pattern that is going to help shape this coming nor'easter. Remember the energy for this system coming from the atmosphere more than from the ocean. This is not a tropical cyclone coming up out of the Caribbean like we saw with Sandy, bringing all this tropical energy from down here into an atmospheric storm system. Instead, this is more associated with the energy in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which you can see right here. This is the 500 millibar vorticity, or about 20,000 feet in the atmosphere, and it shows us the spin, or the amount of energy in the atmosphere is the simplest way to look at it, as well as the height of the atmosphere, how thick it is. But I'm interested in this little area right here, this energy pocket that's going to swing out and then generate a surface low in the western Atlantic, what we call cyclogenesis, or the birth of a low pressure area or a cyclone. This is valid tonight. This is based on last night's GFS run. This is 48 hours out, so this would be on Wednesday, tomorrow night, so 48 hours from last night. Got to get it straight. And the energy comes down here off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia in the mid to upper levels, and then it creates a surface low down here, and then that starts to trek along the east side of this trough that's dug in, and it starts to take advantage of the warm western Atlantic Ocean here, the Gulf Stream waters, and the energy supplied to it coming from the ocean at that point, and the upper levels of the atmosphere, temperature contrasts, and vorticity and energy in the upper levels. It's a very complex meteorological phenomenon, but the point is that we're not seeing the heat coming out of the tropics getting entrained into this system. It's a more classic nor'easter that we see oftentimes in the fall and the winter. Then by 72 hours out, it's fully developed, or at least getting close to it, with a lot of upper level energy here. The cyclonic flow extending up into the atmosphere, lots of energy coming around the trough and into it, cold air in the upper levels of the atmosphere instead of a warm high pressure area above it like we would see with a hurricane. And then we have the surface low sitting off the coast here, and that generating northeast winds on the backside of it here along the coast, north winds at this point along the North Carolina Outer Banks to actually northwest winds. A very powerful storm system. Even without Sandy, we would be saying, wow, this is a pretty impressive system. And because of those strong onshore winds rotating counterclockwise around the storm, it will drive a storm surge from an extratropical source. Remember, this is not a tropical cyclone. This is an extratropical cyclone, meaning that it's formed from different processes, and it is much larger than a normal tropical cyclone would be. The wind field and the pressure field over a much larger area with not a concentrated eye wall or something like that. A tropical cyclone is much more focused around a warmer center than an extratropical cyclone. So this is your standard nor'easter, a little stronger than we would normally see. They vary in strength depending on different factors, but you can see here right along the coast of New Jersey, right in here, we're looking at anywhere from 3 to 4 feet of storm surge because of the piling up of the water over here in this corner as the low goes by. Now the good news is, where a week ago today Sandy had made the turn and was coming in towards the coast and pushing the water towards the coast. I remember how many times I drew that diagram to try to illustrate that. This will be paralleling the coast. So the wind will be the driving factor, quite literally, to blow the ocean towards the shore, but it won't be doing so as it is heading towards the shore at the same time. So we will knock down the surge heights because of that, because it's not as intense a system. But I'm telling you, the fact that it's going to be paralleling the coast is a much better scenario for areas that were hit by Sandy up here, although there still could be some tidal flooding along the coast, going into some of the back bays. You think of the areas up near Belmar, New Jersey, and that area, Long Branch. You've got all these lakes and the Shark River and the different bays that are up there. And that surge will try to work its way in there. Then, Long Island Sound, the potential for some surge to pile up in here on the order of maybe 4 to 5 feet. And this is obviously just rubbing salt in the wounds. We're going to have strong winds. When you see the isobars, these lines of equal pressure packed in here this tight, especially right here on the northwest side, that's what we call a pressure gradient. You can think of it kind of like a topographic map, where if you see a whole bunch of contour lines close together, you have a very steep hillside when you're talking about topography in the land. And the atmosphere is very similar. That when you see a lot of isobars packed together like you do right here, that is indicative of a very strong pressure gradient and that strong northeast wind blowing around the system as it goes by. Expect more trees to come down, especially those just on the verge of falling after Sandy. Because of Sandy, the heavy rain along the coast, maybe 1 to 2 inches, that will exacerbate the problem, allowing more trees to fall. And it's just not a very pleasant thing to have happen. But we can't control the weather. We can only prepare for it and try to adapt to it and be aware of it too. That's what this is all about, is making people aware. The rainfall, not too bad. The Hydrometeorological Prediction Center's rainfall forecast, what they call the quantitative precipitation forecast, a fancy way of saying rainfall forecast. Now the blues right here along the northeast coast, luckily under 1.5 inches if this comes to pass. A track closer to the coast would mean more rain, so we'll have to wait and see if that happens. Still 2 to 3 days away. Wednesday night is when this looks like it'll reach its most intense part of the track and the journey of this low coming off the northeast coast. So between now and then, the next 3 days, the rain no more than 1 to 2 inches it looks like. And that's the good news here, because you don't need excessive rainfall, nor do some of these areas need excessive snowfall. And it does not look like the probabilities of 4 inches of snow or higher are going to get their way down to the coast here. So that's good. The highest snow potential is up in the higher elevations of the usual favored areas during such an event, the Poconos and up into New England proper. So Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, a pretty good chance at seeing some decent snows out of this as the low tracks along the northeast coast and then pulls away and eventually heads on out to sea. And that is it. The tropics elsewhere are quiet. The eastern Pacific, nothing brewing there, and nothing in the long-range models in the Atlantic Basin. It's November. We're in the waning the waning weeks of the hurricane season. And after this, I think things will calm down, at least for the storm pattern. And certainly, I don't see anything else coming out of the tropics. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks so much for watching today's video blog. I'll be back with another one for you tomorrow.